Welcome to Buckets Live, coming to you from the Tommy John Holmes Studios. This is the Anthony Edwards 50-1 victory lap edition of Buckets, coming to you after the Timberwolves get demolished in Game 5 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Great job by Chris Raybon on our pregame show, capping that this was going to be an annihilation. When Chris has like a strong lean on his side, you're never going to talk me into the opposite side. I was looking Thunder anyway, but like if Chris is that confident, Chris is so good about not getting caught up in the stuff that we do, is like the everyday in the trenches stuff, and just being able to be like, no, like the Thunder are way better and they're going to smash them, and they were way better and they smashed them. We'll talk about the future of the Wolves tonight. We'll look a little bit ahead to the series prices for a potential Thunder Pacers matchup. Series is not done. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, but we start tonight with a well-earned victory lap for Brandon Anderson, who gave out on our series preview Anthony Edwards 50-1 rebounds leader, cash tonight with ease. No hedge at all. Stuck with it. Gave you 17 minutes of content on why not to bet anything else. And he was right. He was right. He was right. Brandon Anderson was right. Take a victory lap, sir.
What a great clip. We're going to have to get that clip for sure. Let's put that one in all the future pods.
I tell you, you're right all the time.
I know. Look, the thing that was really fun tonight and throughout the series, as much as the series can be really fun as a self-proclaimed Timberwolves fan, is that I know so many people who are watching right now, who are listening to the podcast, bet the 50-1 or whatever the best price they could, got in a little bit later. We're betting it game to game. And man, we came on Buckets Live on game 1, and Ant had 9 rebounds, led the game. The big men all kind of like equaled each other out. Like the cap looked good from the jump. And then it's just been a ride ever since. And it's been a fun ride with the folks in the comments here on YouTube, StreamYard. Fun ride for
YouTube. Their YouTube.
Okay, yeah.
YouTube.com/the Action Network.
There we go. So just the whole community rooting for Ant rebounds, as everybody else in the world is just watching basketball happen, and not the best of basketball at a lot of points in the series. I don't know about you, but just watching the paint, hitting the ball off the rim, and like Dennis Rodman, which way's the carom going? Where's my guy at? Where's number 5? Is the rebound there? Like, I have never watched rebounds so closely in my life. Ant checks out. Now I want every shot to go in. Nobody misses a shot. Nobody else touches a rebound. I don't care anymore. Just, man, tonight, I gotta say, so we gave the 17 minutes soliloquy. No hedge. We're not hedging. We're staying with the bet. Ant came out and looked in the first quarter tonight like he did in game 4. And I was like, oh, we are in big trouble. And the Wolves were in big trouble, and we'll talk about the game. But with like 2 minutes left in the quarter, Minnesota switched to a zone because their defense was getting shredded. And I think the zone got us home on the Ant bet. Immediately after the zone switch, Ant got another rebound. He did not get a third in the first quarter. We lost that bet tonight. We'll take the sacrifice. And then he just started kind of picking up some boards along the way. And like the bet, Gobert had a moment. Eventually, later on, Nas had a killer moment. Late in the third quarter, Nas got a defensive rebound and then 2 offensive rebounds, all in like 1 minute as my life flashed before my eyes. Joe and Jim and I are in the group chat. Just like the group chat is popping tonight. We're watching the Ant rebounds. We're sending the invisible number text. We don't want to jinx anything. In the meantime, we had Shea and Ant at least 10 assists a game. That one was just really looking close. Ant only has 2 tonight. Shea effectively on like his last play of the game, early fourth quarter, gets his 8th. We get right to 10, hit the plus 270. J-Dub got his assist that he needed on basically his last play of the game. Just blessings upon blessings. We got a good read. We also got lucky. We got lucky, I think, with the Ant rebounds tonight, to be totally honest. It was a good read. It set us up well. We got there. A 50-1 best bet is not something you get to enjoy very often. Hope you get the full unit on it. Make sure to check your book and get the cash home. Some of these series leader bets are tricky for tracking sometimes. So, yeah, it's going to be fun when this one hits the app, and fun when this one hits our accounts as well. And we got there. Man, it feels good.
Nice job. Excellent job. Phenomenal job. As far as the game goes, Wolves bad, Thunder good.
Yeah.
I mean, their body language after the first 5 minutes, I was like, yeah, okay, this is done. I didn't want to bet into the market. I was just like, yeah, this is done. You could just tell the Wolves' entire body language was just like, we can't do any. Like, I understand it. I understand that level of defeat. Been there. Yeah. So that's how they felt, and that you're never going to come back when that's kind of the situation. So Thunder advance. We'll talk about finals prices here in a little bit. I do want to ask you, let's talk Wolves for a second from a basketball X's and O's non-actionable position standpoint. I have been defensive of this team because the Wolves were top 10 in offense and defense this year. They were really good. Their record did not reflect how good they were because it was honestly, it was really messed up by it was a bad coin flip run. I can identify when teams are bad in the clutch. The Wolves were not bad in the clutch. They just lost a bunch of coin flips. They should have been a higher seed. Now that doesn't change the outcome. Like they would have gotten to the Thunder and lost, or they would have gotten a different path and still lost. Regardless, this was always going to be the outcome. But they were really good this year, and they were better than the record. And making the conference finals 2 years in a row is an accomplishment. And I do not like how we tend to respond to like these kind of things and just being like, oh, what clowns. What, they got to tear this up. This is not working. It's working better than the Nuggets. They got a round further than Denver because everybody wants to give Denver credit for taking the Thunder to 7. And I'm just telling you, the Wolves were much better than Denver. Like I covered that team in the entire year. The Wolves were much better than Denver. Denver was able to get the series where they needed it to. And the Wolves' inability to take advantage of matchups, again, I think Chris Finch did a fine job in 3 and 4. Once he got his legs under him, I think he was good in 3 and good in 4. They lost 4 because the Thunder, just like, that's a wacky game that was probably going to go, like they were going to get one of those two. They had to get one of game 1 or game 2 in OKC, and their game plan was horrible. And that was the end of it. Like, I don't even really think it was like, I don't look at this and go, Ant's not good enough. I don't look at this and go, honestly, Brandon, I'll even say this. I don't even think that this is about like the team not being good enough. This is just like, to me, this really genuinely is OKC is that good. And we can talk about the future, and I am of two minds on it because on the one hand, they have so many options to improve and so much internal improvement, and they've laid such a foundation to be able to replicate this. At the same time, do you want to know how many teams I see in the spot where they make the finals or win a title and it's going to be like forever, they're going to be great, and then like it falls apart? It just doesn't. Like, this was their year. They better have won. This was, otherwise you're the Cavs. Everything went right and you got knocked out in the second round. This is their year. And everything has gone awesome, and that team is incredible. And I'm excited for what it's going to be like for that team, which I have a very soft spot in my heart for a number of reasons, to win the NBA title. They are awesome, and they are above everybody. They're above absolutely everybody. And all the experience and the matchups, they just proved it. And you have to do that. You can't just talk about it. You got to do it. And they did it. And that dedication to process is what got them there. But I don't look at that as a condemnation of the Wolves. Do I think they need to shake it up? Yeah, I probably think so. I think 2 runs with this core is probably enough. But I do not look at this as like a massive failure by Minnesota. I think of it as a massive triumph by the Thunder. And I look at it as like, yeah, okay, so like the Wolves are going to have to make some changes. They still got Ant, who's getting better every game. They're going to be better. They got young guys. I think that like Terrence Shannon, I think is going to be a guy. We'll see what Robert Dillingham turns into. That one's a bit more of a question mark. But like, there's opportunities for this team to improve, to form a different iteration of this team, rather than like, this is as far as it goes and that's the end, and now Ant needs to ask out. I don't think that that's where the Wolves are.
Yeah, no, I think honestly, I pretty much agree with that. I think the Timberwolves, have probably gone as far as they can with this version of the team. I mean, look, even from last year to this year, it feels like the same team. It's not the same team. They traded Karl-Anthony Towns. That was the franchise player of this team for years. And then it became Ant once Ant kind of took the mantle, but that was still the guy. That was still at least the number 2 guy on the team. And they blew that up and are right back in the conference finals. Minnesota, in the history of the franchise, has only ever won a playoff series one other year than this year and last year. It's certainly not a failure for Minnesota. I don't think it could be a failure for any. If you make the conference finals in back-to-back years, if you are like the Miami Heat, LeBron, Wade, Bosch, and you made the conference finals back-to-back years, okay, maybe finally it's not an accomplishment then. Or the Durant Warriors, not an accomplishment. For almost any other team, you get that far. It's not a fluke if you did it 2 years in a row. It's not necessarily a fluke you did it once. So they got there. I think you're right also that this might be as far as this version of the team can get. And frankly, it's probably going to have to be because Mike Conley, 37, 1 year left on the deal, like clearly a role player at this point with the starter's name. Rudy Gobert, 33 years old. He's only going to get worse. He was good in the regular season. I would have had him first team all defense, still not defensive player of the year, but in the regular season and in a lot of matchups, he's still very, very good. He had ups, he had downs in the playoffs. I don't think Rudy Gobert was like horrendous in this series or anything. He just is what he is. Rudy Gobert has always been a major floor raiser and regular season guy. He's not, I would say he's not a 16 gamer. I don't think he's a 0 gamer. I think he's like an 8 gamer or something. But I don't think with the way that Rudy plays defense and what your team is going to have to look like with him, I don't think that is going to be a championship team. With what you pay him and the role you have him play in offense and defense and what you've built around it, I don't think that's a championship team. So you got Ant, you got Jaden McDaniels. That's the bet this team made to start with. When they made the Rudy trade, they would not include Jaden. They're building around Ant. You still got those guys at age 23, 24. You still have Dante DiVincenzo, who needs to play better than he did this year. You got Dillingham. You got Shannon. Nikhil probably is gone. He's a free agent, but Shannon is probably kind of taking his spot. They're going to have a decision, I assume, on Julius Randle. He has a player option. I kind of doubt that he would pick that up, but I don't know. It get kind of in the muck after this series. I don't know what he thinks his value is. What do you think is the move here for the Timberwolves? If we're kind of agreeing this version of the team has gone as far as it can, they don't have a lot of draft picks coming because they've traded most of them. They do have a number 17 pick this year that they got from Detroit. They kind of lucked into getting that one cashed this year. They're missing right now this year's pick, 2027 and 2029 to Utah, all unprotected except one. Next year, they're losing swap rights. 2030, they're losing swap rights. 2031, they lost unprotected. The team has one first-round pick rights for their own pick in the next 6 years. What's the move? What's the ammunition here? And what do you think is the next version of this team? I've got an answer. Do you have a thought on it?
I honestly think you need to take a look at where a lot of teams are at and examine. I don't think not having draft picks matters. I just really don't, because you can't build 2 timelines. You can't. It doesn't work. It really doesn't. It does not work. The Thunder are on 1 timeline. Like, Shea is still young enough to be at the very top of that edge curve with their very young guys at the bottom end of it. And so they're all in kind of that same group. Like, they don't, like, Caruso's their oldest guy, right? I don't think you need the draft picks. And it's like, well, you need the draft picks to make the trade. Okay. Do you? Because I think, honestly, the alternative here, which is probably a lot better, is you convert. If Ant's your guy, I'm of the opinion at this point in the CBA, and this comment is based off of where the current cap is at, and it will increase as the cap goes up, right? You cannot have 2 guys, I don't think, or more than 2 guys. You cannot have more than 2 guys making $30 million a year. You cannot do it. So to me, the move is Rudy Gobert is still extremely valuable, and probably you can't trade Rudy Gobert for an all-star. You can't trade Rudy Gobert for a top 5 pick. You can't trade Rudy Gobert for this, that, the other. What you can do is you can trade Rudy Gobert in a multi-team deal that gets you multiple smaller salaries back. Because some of these teams that are looking to make a big jump and actually compete a little bit more, especially in the Eastern Conference, are likely going to be interested in those moves. Rudy Gobert's trade value is not what NBA Twitter thinks it is. Like, for one, I would say I understand that small sample, but to me, it's very evident. Like, Rudy was the second best player on the Wolves in terms of their on-court, off-court. They didn't lose the series because of the Rudy minutes. They didn't win it because of the Rudy minutes, but they didn't lose it because of the Rudy minutes. They lost it because of all the other ones. They lost it because of a number of players that were just absolutely horrific, including, very ironically, like Dante DiVincenzo was disastrous.
Yeah.
Terrible. And so you have the capability with Jaden McDaniels. They're going to have to deal with Nas and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, right? But if you do a sign and trade for those deals, which most teams are going to be amenable to because they're in the same cap situation, you have the ability, I think, this is how I kind of view it, break down the roster into as many movable pieces as possible until you find that second guy you want to put next to Ant. Whether it's Jaren Jackson Jr. or Karl Anthony Towns again, or Bam Adebayo, or whatever big man you want to put next to Ant that you think fits. Break down those pieces and then get them a lot of movable parts, and then reconfigure later about, all right, then we'll make a trade and we'll have these leftover pieces. That to me is a very doable plan and is honestly a lot better than chasing, we're going to draft somebody with the 24th pick and he's going to be, I'm watching that in Denver. Ain't great. So I that's where I go, is you should trade Gobert, Jaden, Nas in a sign and trade, move on from Conley, etc. Julius in a sign and trade for multiple interchangeable pieces to give yourself the most flexibility for a second build while still competing.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't think that the move is to just keep all your draft picks and then hope that you draft young guys year by year by year and they'll develop magically in time. Like, that's not it. We know that that's not the thing. But in today's NBA economy, free agency is mostly dead now. Guys are signing and extending. Heck, Gobert has a player option for $47 million, but it might just be that maybe they talk him into declining that, sign on for like 30 or 35 plus an extension, and we'll deal with this a couple years down the line. Maybe that makes him more tradable. That's what happens more and more. There are not big free agent signings. So you can't just go sign guys. You can't draft guys and wait around for their timeline. Look, Rob Dillingham is the example of that this year. They traded a unprotected 2031 pick to go up and get him. You didn't see him playing, doing anything on any part of this playoff run. Even he couldn't even do the Terrence Shannon come in and give me 4 minutes of juice off the bench as the ninth man. He's just not ready for that yet. Doesn't mean he's a bust. It means he's a rookie. That's how this goes in the playoffs. So you don't need rookies. You do need draft picks, though, because increasingly trades are the way that you add or change talent in the NBA, and draft picks are the juice that gets you there. You got to have some salary to match, but you got, like, that's how they got Rudy to start with. That's more and more stacking all these draft picks together is how you get there. So I think that Timberwolves need to be honest with themselves. And I think you basically agree with us and say, okay, it's time to take a step back before we can take the next step forward. We're not going to add a layer on to the Gobert, Nas, Randall team. We're going to take a step back. That trio is not going to get us to where we want to be, because where we want to be has to be championship aspirations. It has to be. You have Ant, who looks like a top 5 star, at least a possible future MVP, and you just played in back-to-back conference finals. Not every team in the NBA should be championship or bust. We agree on that. It can't just be title or bust. For this team, with Ant as good as he is, you have to have actual winning the title aspirations. So that means take a step back to take a step forward. The problem is the step back is Rudy, and you haven't even finished paying half of the price you paid to get Rudy and to get rid of Cat and all the other moves. And yeah, you got these 2 runs that were good, but then also sputtered out in kind of embarrassing fashion both years in a row. But you're taking a step back, but haven't paid the bill yet for the future. And I don't know that they have a lot of bullets left. Let me ask this about so Ant and Jaden have to be the core still. Hopefully Dillingham adds to that. Hopefully there are other guys. Ant and Jaden have to be the core right now. 2 questions. Number 1, what do you want Ant to be? Do you want him to be James Harden? Do you want him to be off the ball? Do you want him to be Jason Tatum? What version of Ant do you want to be? Because that affects how you build the team. Number two, Jaden McDaniels can be their what best player? Second best, third, fourth best player? What can he be? Because he's making 30 by the end of his deal, too. We got to count him in there. Ant and Jaden, what do you think?
By the way, that 30 mil will probably look better under the new cap, just as a.
Oh, sure. It's still money.
I think for Ant, he was so frustrated with seeing doubles this year. Like, he really doesn't want to have. I don't think he wants to be like the maestro. I don't think he wants to be the guy that's like doing this. I think he wants to be Devin Booker more than he wants to be James Harden. And Shea is obviously hyper isocentric, but even Shea, I don't feel like is Harden. He was pretty Harden-esque in the series.
No.
But it was the chat is still bumping with congratulating you, by the way.
I see that folks are starting to get their money hit the bank too. So check your app, and that's coming in now.
So, look, I think ideally you put a floor general point guard like Mike Conley, a replacement for him. You add a weapon, like imagine if you had Rudy, but he could actually catch and dunk or hit little hook shots. Like, and look, there's a lot of conversation about this guy not being a playoff riser, that he's a playoff dropper. But if you just subbed out Rudy with Jared Allen, how much worse are they? Like, if you give Ant that kind of, if you give Ant with their defenders, if you give Ant that kind of lob threat who can also finish and has like baby hooks and like those little things, it makes a big difference because it means you can't send that help like just ignoring Rudy Gobert, right?
I don't think they're worse. I stopped because I think that I might actually think that they're better with Jared Allen. It certainly is not a big drop off.
Yeah. So like, you could definitely do and they're willing to move Allen. So you could definitely do a 3-team trade here. Oh God, that's actually a really interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean,
if you do a 3-team with New Orleans, and you get Jared Allen, not you, but the Wolves get Jared Allen,
right?
And the Pelicans get Rudy Gobert, and the Pelicans send Zion.
Yeah, I don't think the Pelicans. Why are the Pelicans trading Zion for Rudy? Come on, that doesn't make any sense.
Just to get out the money. They're in that kind of position anyway. There's reports today that they're going to try and make it work one more time. But anyway, that's a really interesting idea.
Rudy is an ad for a lot of teams. Rudy is not an ad if you're Washington or a team at the bottom. Rudy is, I think, not an ad if you are, I don't even know who, like if you're OKC or Boston or whoever, like you're not adding Rudy. He's not the last piece and he's not the first piece. But there are a lot of other teams in the middle who want to be the 3 seed or the 6 seed or the 8 seed. And Rudy helps you do all of those things. He just doesn't help you get over the top in the conference finals. That's okay. There are very few players like that. I think, ironically, the team you want to build around Ant probably is just like the Thunder. Like, I think you want him to do the Shea thing. Like, ideally, you don't want him in the Harden Luka role because Harden and Luka are not winning championships yet. So until we see the heliocentric, do everything superstar actually win a title, I don't think you want that. I think you prefer, like, Ant can be an incredible defender, but not if he's doing everything else. He can't lead the series in rebounds and be a great on-ball defender and be their top assist man and score 30 a game. You can't do all of that.
Right.
I had people asking today about his conditioning. I'm not questioning his conditioning. His conditioning is, I just got hounded by 8 hound dogs over there on every play, triple teamed every night, 3 series into the playoffs. I'm doing everything over here. Like, that's not conditioning. We need a little bit more help and balance over here.
I will say, every time that we think that the Wolves are sunk, Tim Conley's been like, or so, like, I have some confidence that Tim Conley will
can Jaden McDaniels answer that part. Can Jaden McDaniels be what on the team? Can he be their Jalen Williams?
No, he's got to be. No, he's like fourth. He was good in the series. He was good in these playoffs. I was really impressed with Jaden, but he's got to be like the fourth guy.
Yeah, and see, I agree that the salary 25 to 30 range sounds more than it actually is, but it's also not the fourth guy's salary. So
I mean, look, I would
guys.
look to move him too. I think the teams are going to have to get bold. I just think that they're going to have to. And I will say this: one reason to be optimistic about like who's going to like this is what everyone I think on the fan side is doing is like who's going to trade for this person that we think sucks. And the answer, if you listen, like Mark Stein had a big thing on this today, and Shams reported it on the Pat McAfee show. Like the inside people are expecting this to be an absolutely insane trade year. I don't know where. Like I was like, where? I was like, none of you can move money because you're all in the second apron. But when those they are that reporting is more often true than not. That's very often on point. We'll see what happens. Let's move back to the Thunder, the team that won. Go ahead, finish up.
Last thought. Somebody in the DZ DeGreat in the comments says KD would be better. What about a KD Gobert swap? The Suns need a center. What if you just lean in on offense? Like I think Minnesota this year tried to balance. They went away from the all defense, and I thought they had a better, more balanced team this year. What if you lean the other way and lean toward offense now and bring in Durant to be I mean this in the best and what way it is, the greatest second banana in history, to be Ant's second banana and hit a whole lot of open jumpers, and you have Ant and KD, and then see what you do from there. What do you think?
They call it the deadline. KD is from Washington, D.C. area, DMV.
Right.
Tim Conley is from that area. They know each other very well. Tim tried to get him for years, and he tried to get him every year in Denver. He was just like, just give me a phone call. Just give me a meeting, and couldn't get it. But I think this is the most likely time that he could do it. I will probably put this together, and I might write about it on Paroxysm because that's the only place I think I can really fit it when I do these trade ideas. I keep thinking of though. You know what guy is going to absolutely think that he can win with Rudy Gobert? Quinn Snyder.
Yeah.
Trae Young to Phoenix. KD to Minnesota. Rudy Gobert to Atlanta. All in on defense. All right. Let's talk some prices. So we've got advanced prices up in the market for Thunder Pacers. Thunder over Pacers exact outcome, factoring in the chances of the Knicks coming back in the series, are currently in the market minus 330. Just because I like doing this, I will give you an update. I have it minus 391. So there's still about 60 cents of value in my mind. I'm betting this again. But then I've been higher on the Pacers, and Knicks game 5 seems like not a lock, but I'm at the point of just being like, I think the Knicks are going to win game 5. And
then you should not be betting the Indiana again till after, right?
I know. Yeah, I won't. I'm done.
Okay.
I've stopped.
Okay.
I've stopped. I've rung out that bell, I think, too many times, hitting it. So the price on that series, though, if we do get Thunder Pacers, the look ahead price is Thunder minus 750, Pacers plus 540. Thunder minus 1.5 is minus 265. Thunder minus 2.5 is minus 120. Pacers plus 1.5 is plus 210. Pacers plus 2.5 is minus 102. It's just a right around. You're paying 2 cents for the Pacers to get 2 games. I'll let you give your thoughts, and then I can talk about like where I've got this projected and what I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're all going to be on the Thunder to win the finals, obviously, but that's not how betting goes unless you're going to be betting the minus 770 or whatever. You got to actually pay a price that's worth betting. And I fear that, as you just kind of gave the numbers, we're going to struggle to find value here. It's going to be like, okay, similar to coming into the Timberwolves series. All right. So can the Pacers take 2? Can we take 2 games? Do we want to? Do I want that bet? Like we were just chatting in the group chat with Raheem Palmer before coming on. I was like, all right. So it's like even odds for the Pacers to win 2. I like what they've been doing. I like the pace thing. At the end of the day, we liked a lot of stuff about Minnesota. The series started, and then we have to ask ourselves, did I actually want to invest in a week of my life in the Thunder losing twice to this team? Did I like really need that as the bet that I wanted to write out this week? And I didn't. I bet Thunder in 6 or 7. I lost my bet. I won some other stuff tonight, but I lost that series bet. I don't know. I don't know that it's going to be a sweep, but I don't know that I'm going to be excited. It's going to be that the value theoretically is on the Pacers, but then do I like want that experience of betting on them and needing a couple of wins to pull through?
Yeah.
I know that, I'll start with the 4 factors thing. We'll get back to the 4 factors when we do the series betting. I know that the first thing I'm going to look at on either one of these teams is if it's the Knicks somehow, offensive rebounding, beating the Thunder on the glass and getting second chance. That's one huge flaw that they have. That has to be the way the Knicks do anything in a possible matchup. If it's the Pacers, as expected, turnovers. The Pacers don't turn it over. Halliburton does not turn it over. Nembhard doesn't turn it over. And Indiana's defensive leap that happened through this year has been forcing turnovers. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Knicks are turning it over in the series. The turnover margin has quietly been a huge factor in that series also. The Thunder don't turn it over much, but if the Pacers can keep that to somewhat even and not do what every other team has done against them, Minnesota and Denver are not strong turnover teams. They do turn it over, and we saw that bite them in the butt. If the Pacers can keep that minimal, I don't know. We're going to talk ourselves into like the Pacers winning a couple, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, look, with everything that I say on these podcasts, if you were like, give me the case for the Pacers, I can absolutely make it. I can make the case for the Pacers. My projections, I'm almost in line with the market. So, for example, Pacers plus 2.5, I make 110 versus minus 102, minus 110. Like, yeah, it's going to be like, yeah, there's like a little bit of value here on the Pacers. One of the things, and I'm getting ready to text our good friend Raheem Palmer about this, is the Thunder are going to blow them out twice. You are starting with the Thunder having 2 blowout wins at home. It might be game 1, game 2. It might be game 2, game 5. It might be game 1, game 5. Now, they could do more. They blew out the Wolves here. Not blew out, but they won double digits or around it in 3, right? So you have to start there. And that's the problem. Is like, if I start from a position of the Thunder are going to get 2 games already where there is no coin flip ability, there's no variance ability for the Pacers to win that game. They're going to lose by double digits at least twice. If I know that going in, that is going to be every win probability that I have, because I have to take 2 games and be like, it's 100% that they're going to, like, 2 of these games are 100% Thunder. Yeah, it is, can you win the other 5 twice? Just to get 2.5.
They're not 100%. I know that's the scenario you're painting, but that's not how numbers work. They're not 100%. No, I understand. And that's where the math comes back.
I understand. I'm saying from a handicap standpoint.
Right. I get it. But like that's part of the handicap is we mentally, we including me, you, anybody, we don't know how to think of something as 85 or 95 or 98% likely. Those are all the same thing in our brain. And so we just translate it to 100%. But those margins are where the margins are coming back to find value. And I think that's where it gets really tricky. I suspect that what's going to end up happening is going to end up having to choose one of 2 options, neither of which is going to feel good. Either you're going to end up choosing Pacers have to win at least 2, and that's the direction you have to go, or you're going to have to choose Pacers win none, and that's the direction you have to go. And neither one of those is going to feel right, because the Pacers are a really good team, are playing really good basketball, but I think that's the choice it's going to be. I think series leaders are going to be really interesting if it is that matchup across the board. Like Shea points obviously is going to happen, but I think assists could be interesting between Halliburton and Shea. I think rebounds market could be very up for grabs again. I think there are a lot of interesting prop stuff that will come up there. Do we think, again, big picture style, I'll have to dig into the matchup stuff a little more. I'm a little worried about just Indiana's offense stylistically against this defense. I'm a little worried about Halliburton stylistically. Indiana wants to get a lot of twos. They want to get some easy stuff in the paint. They want to run. The Thunder are incredible transition defense. They're incredible protecting the paint and taking away the paint and forcing threes, the thing Indy doesn't really want to do. And they're going to throw any number of hounding bodies at Halliburton, who is more wiggle and shake than he is burst to get by those guys. We've seen Ant how many times have like 4 dudes on him and just power and finesse through. That's not Halliburton's game. First glance, it feels like if OKC is really locked in defensively, they could. This Pacers offense has not been an elite top offense like it was a year ago. And I feel like the Thunder could really disrupt them if they're locked in.
Yeah, probably. Again, I can make the case, the counter for this. I can make a very strong case about their ability to speed the Thunder up, which they hate. They hate teams that do that, which is going to be a really interesting thing here because that gets them. They need, like, the Thunder have to see everything in front of them. That's what they want. They want everything in front of them. When everything is kind of chaotic, they get sped up and they're not in their comfort zone. The Pacers defense, I think, is probably the most underrated unit maybe in the playoffs, based off of, I think, with their ability to find ways to kind of match up with some things. The Thunder offense, I think, is great, but probably vulnerable to certain things. I don't know if I necessarily think that the Pacers are a great matchup. I have to think about it and do some film. Again, I can make the argument, but you're probably right. Like, it's probably just like, yeah, the Thunder are way better and they can't do anything, and then they just lose in 4 games. Like, that's completely, totally possible outcome here. I don't know how we don't overreact to OKC at this point.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not overreact to OKC right now? Like, their moment of doubt was when they were down 2-1 to Denver, who, again, I will just continue to stress, not very good. And so there's at this point with them smoking this Wolves team, it does feel like, what are you going to do? They're just going to kill everybody. There's nothing can stop them. This is the league of plot twists, and we see a lot of surprising stuff. And Indiana's been really good in game ones.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do Pacers? Or why don't we just do Thunder -2.5, -120, and call it?
So that means Thunder in 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be the question. Is we're going to think the Pacers can get a game sometime. The question is, can they get a second one? And that's, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Matt, if I feel like I need to make that decision, and like that needs to be the bet that I'm riding on for the whole week. Like, I don't know if I'm going to feel good enough about either side of that and be like, okay, well, that's the thing I'm like, more and more. That's why you see a lot of us at Action Network betting props and series leaders and things like that. But you can kind of adjust as you go. There's game to games. There's whatever, rather than just the traditional sides. Like, there are so many offerings at books now that, to me, that's a version of that where it's just like, yeah, I can get there. I could get to either direction on that. Probably we'll see once we dig in a little bit more, but I don't know. Like, this series, the Thunder win the series by 31 at the end of the day, despite losing a game by 42. Like, that's insane to be that. You win a series in 5, you win by plus 31 net margin with a 42-point loss. It's a team that doesn't really make sense as far as some of the numbers go, because when they're on, they just are untouchable.
Well, I'll say this also, some of the times these look ahead markets are not reflective of what we actually get. So we'll take a look when the actual markets come out, when we do the preview, but I'm not, I will take the bullet. You should just bet 50-1 props and swim in money. And I will take the sides and be a moron and no matter how good the bet is, get proven wrong. And that is what we should do. That is the brand of Buckets. That's going to do it for Buckets. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. Brandon and I will be back for finals coverage, depending on the end of the Eastern Conference Finals, depending on when that happens. You can catch Buckets live tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern. Then again, pregame. Oh no, we do not have a pregame. We don't have one tomorrow. There's no 2:30 Eastern show tomorrow because we don't have a game on Friday. So you can catch us pregame tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern at youtube.com/The Action Network. And then you can catch postgame for that game. And depending on the outcome of that, then you can catch us on Friday.
NBA Finals, either way, no matter what happens, NBA Finals start a week from Thursday, correct?
Yes.
Game 1, Thursday night, June 5th, I think.
Yep.
So that's on the entire final schedule is out there. That's planned for months in advance. So check that out. Get them on your calendar. If Knicks Pacers closes out tomorrow night, we're off for a week. We're off basketball. We will have other shows and all sorts of finals coverage.
Oh,
Matt
we
have been just coming up with all sorts of stuff. So it's coming.
I will find more way to. I'm currently workshopping more shows to do. That's what I'm doing right now. Appreciate you guys joining us. Glad everyone got the 50-1 that tailed. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give Brandon a shout out on Twitter for it. And then the Action Network comments at youtube.com/The Action Network. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night for pregame, 6:30 Eastern for Pacers-Knicks Game 5 as the Pacers look to advance to the finals for the first time since 2000. I had hair then. That's how long ago it was. We'll see you guys again next time. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, let's get buckets.